you so much for coming on with us tonight. I am beyond just excited and honored to have you.
Likewise. And, Marissa, sometimes, and I share this with everybody that I talk to, when you run an agency, something I learned really quickly when I was young, when I was building a big team, was you're never a prophet in your own backyard because everybody knows who you are. And so like everybody on this team, you guys go, well, that's just Marissa. No. That's Marissa, one of the fastest growing agencies in the company, and also soon to be an integrity partner and all that good stuff. I say that because sometimes you go, we just take her for granted because you know her so well, while other groups are seeking her out to be able to get her knowledge, to be able to build their teams and grow their businesses. So Marissa, thank you so much for having me on. Hopefully I can add some wisdom to you guys tonight and help you guys grow your businesses and teach you how to sell more insurance. But the respect is mutual. I appreciate everything you do for the company.
No, well, I appreciate that, Stephen, but you've been someone I looked up to since day one. You were on with us. It's probably been like a year and a half since we had you on the call, which is awesome because there's just, what's so awesome about the business, you never stop learning, right? Like you crushed it for a year and a half and we're able to learn from you, but it's so awesome to circle back and be able to have you on again, see what things have changed. Obviously the industry is always evolving, always growing, and obviously still being able to continuously learn from each other. So Stephen, you have one of the most consistent agencies, as well as the fastest growing agencies, and someone who's just never never really taken their foot off the gas. So can you kind of talk about just your backstory for anybody who might be new, when you decided to build, why this was the best opportunity for you, and kind of that whole story?
Absolutely. So I had a chance to, so I got started at Family First Life twice. That's the real story. I got licensed about 6 years ago. I got started here. I worked here for like 6 months and I left the company because I got in a really, really big fight with my upline. And so I left the industry for like a year, and then I was getting married. And so I was like, all right, I need to go make 40 grand to pay for this wedding. I have no idea how I'm going to do that with a corporate America job. So I'm going to go sell some insurance. So I joined the same upline that I left, interestingly enough. But it's because we're mature and we can grow past that. But I say that because I came back and it was never a Family First Life thing. It was an ego thing, 100%. I tell people all the time, remove the company name, right? Like if you take all the other competitors out there that we have and you take Family First Life, you remove the name. You look at comp, you look at renewals, you look at training, you look at fees, you look at all that stuff. Dude, time and time again, we're always the best place to work. So if you have an insurance license and you want to sell insurance, this is the best place to do it, regardless of who you work with, right? And so I got started here my second go around about 5 years ago. And I was coaching high school basketball for 12 years. I love being able to work with kids. I love being able to help people. One of the things that I saw, Marissa, that I really, really enjoyed was watching a kid come in as a freshman and they had like zero self-confidence, zero self-esteem. They can barely walk and chew gum. And then by the time they're a senior, they're like the man on campus, right? And you're like, well, how did that happen? And what happened was this right here, the 6 inches between their ears. They might have grown a little bit taller, might have gotten a little bit stronger, sure. But what changed is all this and the repetitions that they got and everything that they've done, the results, the credibility that they've gained to the point where now they are the man on campus. And I enjoyed that. And so when I came into this business, I felt the same when we would recruit an agent and their back was against the wall. They were at rock bottom. And then we taught them how to sell insurance and crank and work hard. And now they're protecting 20, 30, 40 families a month. And now they're living in a better life than they've ever had, right? Like I enjoyed that. And so for me, it was never really about the money. It was being able to see, people be able to grow and actually hit the potential they had. Like one of the things that I hate the most is the word potential. You watch professional athletes, they get drafted strictly on potential. Like they go, hey, this kid might be good one day. Well, that sucks because we're paying a lot of money for him to possibly be good, right? And so like, that's the word that I didn't like a lot because my whole thing is like, if we can see, like Sean does a phenomenal job at this, like empowering and encouraging agents. Like he goes, man, I probably believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And that's true. I was definitely one of them. Right. And so like, I just wanted to pay that forward because there's so many phenomenal people in this world that if they had someone believe in them, push them along a little bit and encourage them a little bit more, they might be that person that we're trying to get them to be, you know what I mean? And so that's all I was trying to do in this business. So my first year, I didn't really recruit because I had a background in network marketing, and I was like, I didn't want to basically tell my friends or family what I was doing. And so like I probably made a little bit more than 6 figures that year, and people thought I was selling drugs because they were like, hey, this fool wakes up whenever he wants. He can do whatever he wants, and he never really works. Like, what does he do? And so my second year, I remember, we're doing a conference in Riverside, and there's only like 18 of us in this room. And Sean goes, hey, all the sales managers come up to the room. Like, Marissa, this is how long ago it was, sales managers. And there was like 6 of us. And we get there, and he's asking everybody a separate question. And I'm like, man, I'm curious to see what he's going to ask me because I want to like prep for the answer or whatever it is, right? So he gets to me and he goes, oh, wow, Steve, you're up here again? I'm like, yeah. He goes, y'all want to know why Steve is still a sales manager? And I'm like, shoot, I want to know why I'm a sales manager, honestly. He goes, the reason why Steve is still a sales manager is because he's selfish. And I was like, what did this fool just say to me? Right. And I was like, selfish? Like, I'm like the least selfish person that I know. Like, what do you mean I'm selfish? And he said to everybody, he says, Steve, are your bills paid? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you got a little money in the bank? I was like, I do. He goes, life's good? I'm like, life's good. He goes, Steve is selfish. His life is good. The agents on his team, the people that he knows, their life aren't good. So Steve is selfish because he doesn't want to help anybody else have a better life. And once I saw that, I was like, dude, he's so right. And so like from that moment on, Marissa, I recruited every day. Everybody I knew, shared the opportunity, because I felt like ask yourself this question for all you guys on this call. Not a lot of people wear their problems on their sleeves. Not a lot of people do. You don't know what they're fighting internally, what they're praying for at night. And some of us have friends or family that we're holding the key to financial freedom for them, and we want to play God and not share it with them because we might not think they can do it. Here's what's funny. If you look at all the top agency managers here at Family First Life, none of them had a successful background before they came here. Not many that I know. I was coaching high school basketball, living with my mom at 27. Many of you guys would be like, that is a loser. I probably would say that too, right? You look at Andrew Taylor, he was bagging groceries. Such a strong business acumen. You see what I mean? Like Trey Honeycutt failed in multiple businesses with me all the way up until he was like 40. Came here, now he's running a $3 million a month agency. So like, why do we prejudge who we share the opportunity with? Because I'm glad someone didn't do that with you. You see what I mean? And so like, that's why for me, Marissa, I got so gung-ho about just sharing this opportunity because I didn't know who's on the other side. You know what I mean? And so like, that was such a big deal for me because so many people have joined our business and their lives have changed. And that potential that we were talking about, they have reached a lot of their potential. And like, I imagine going, man, what if I didn't post that Instagram post? What if I didn't post that Facebook post? What if I just was like, you know what? I'm not in the mood to share the opportunity today with Desiree. I'm gonna pass on this one. They wouldn't be here. And that's selfish. You know what I mean? So like I shared this opportunity and I worked because I didn't want to let other people down. For those of you that are taking notes, write this down. The moment you build a team, the moment you decide to build a team, you give up the right to be average. The moment you build a team, you give up the right to be average. You know why? Because you got to perform. You can't tell them to do what you don't know how to do. If you don't know how to protect 20, 30, 40 families a month, you can't expect them to. So like if someone goes, hey, Steve, what's this lead strategy that I need to protect 20, 30, 40, 50 families a month? And I go, I don't know, I've never done it, but you should go ask so-and-so. I failed as a leader, right? And by the way, you know, like objections, rejection, like pitfalls in our business, like so many people are like, I wish I didn't have that. No. You want them. Because how do you teach what you don't know? Right? Can you imagine like if Digna, who's amazing, by the way, she sells a lot of insurance and I join her team and I go, hey, Digna, I got this objection. She's like, you got an objection? I never get objections. Can't teach you how to overcome that one because I don't get any. Right? Hey, Marissa, I got a chargeback. I got a roll up. But what do I do? Chargeback, roll ups? I don't get them. I'm too good of an agent. Sorry. All these things happen to us so that we can be able to teach them later on. So don't want what you don't want. So many people want this business to be perfect and it will never be. The reason why these things happen is so that we can be able to receive them ourselves. It's a big learning experience for us so that we can teach it later on when it happens to someone on our team. See, every time something happens to me now, I go, man, that sucks. Who's this lesson for on our team? It's not, oh my God, life sucks. I can't believe this happened to me. I should probably go think about selling solar or doing something else. No, it's why am I learning this and who am I going to be for? Does that make sense? So that's how I got started, Marissa. That's how I kind of started building a team. It took me a little bit of time. But after I found that I was selfish, I kind of moved on and built a team. So
I love that. No, that's so powerful because it is true, right? Like that was my biggest thing coming into is I was like, everyone's going to judge me if I'm talking about this, but the reality is like, that's not my job. Like that was my ego. Right. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Stephen, I'd love to talk about your personal production real quick before we get into some more building stuff. So you talked about how important that is from leading from the front. So that way your team trusts you, right. But you have one of the biggest agencies in the company. You're still in the field. Mm-hmm. What is the power of like the personal production? Why do you still do it? You know, why 20, 30 families instead of 10 to 12? Like what's the real power behind that? Why?
So what was crazy is when our team was doing about 750 a month, I was still the number one agent on our team. Like I was still smacking all our Hall of Fame producers. And the reasoning is because it's got to let them know sometimes that I just don't know what I'm doing. Right. It was just all out of respect, because here's the other thing. Like I would never want anybody on our team to be able to go, he's trying to make an override off me. No. I can sell 40, 50, 60 in my sleep. Most people can if they really wanted to work, right? And so like I was always trying to be like, I never wanted them to be like, oh, Steve's probably at Disneyland. Oh, he's probably doing this while I'm in the field. No. I'm posting in Slack, Telegram, whatever messaging communications you guys use. I'm posting in there too. I'm in the trenches just like you. I'm in, right? And so we got to about 750. I had to leave California to transfer my license over to Nevada. And so it took me about 12 weeks. So I didn't have a license for 3 months. And if I wrote any business, my entire downline would have been terminated. So I didn't. And so in those 3 months, we shot over to about $1 million in production. And at that point, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I'm more valuable out than I am in. Well, what happened was I tried to lie to myself for like the next 6 months. Like I was so needed out like that I wasn't going to be in the field. And so what I did was I bothered everybody on my team, just being honest. And so what happened was like during this whole telesales thing, Aetna came out after I got out of the field. And so like Marissa, one of the things that drove me nuts was like, I had a brand new agent go, hey man, I'm in the Aetna app. And what do I do here? And my answer was, I don't know. I've never written one. And when I hung up, I was ready to throw up in my mouth. Because I was like, that just goes against everything I just talked about being a leader. Like if you go, hey, what do I do here for the Americo app, Prosperity app? I'm game. Got you. Been there, done that. And now I was like, text signature, security question? What's your options? You know what I mean? And so I remember I was like referring everybody out. They're like, hey, how do I do a telesales? I'm like, I don't know. Go ask this person. Go ask this person. And then I was like, you know what? Why am I doing that? Let me just go do it so I can learn and teach it, right? And so at the beginning of the year, I started running some annual reviews, and then I just bought some leads, and I was like, let's just go see what it's about. And I'm a big fan of proving people wrong. So like when people go, these leads suck, I go, really? Let's find out. And then I'll go buy the same leads, or I'll just take their leads, call them, book appointments, sell them, and be like, hey, the leads don't suck, you do. Because I call them after you, and I sold them. You have first crack at them. So they don't suck. Right? I think you're lacking training or work ethic. Don't blame the leads. And so I started doing that. I did that for like 3 to 4 months, like at a heavy clip, to the point where people were like, oh my gosh, Steve is doing virtual sales. He's doing telesales. He knows what he's doing. He's teaching training on it, just to be able to go, I don't want someone to ask me a question that I don't know. That's like the thing that I hated the most as a leader. Like if you ask me, like you can find out how sharp someone's edge is as a leader by their response to a question. You know what I mean? Like if you ask me underwriting questions, like, sure, I still know how to do that, but we have so many tools that do that. But if you go like, hey man, how do I get this through? Like, what do I check box here? And I'm like, I don't even know what the app looks like. Like, that's a really bad sign. Hey, what does the email from, IULE come up as when you send it to your client? I don't know, bro. Never written one. Like, that's a really bad idea. And so like, I wanted to always keep my edge sharp, and I wanted to be able to be there with the team. And so like, to this day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I'm usually in the office, camera on Zoom. And I might not be making dials, but guess what? I can hear a brand new agent make dials and be like, hey, Bob, next time, try to say this instead. Right? I can give immediate feedback or whatever it may be. And so that's been really powerful for us. So like, our volume has shot up quite a bit in the last few months. And I firmly believe it's just me going back to phase one and going right back in the field and leading from the front. And there's many times, people will be like, hey, my wife, she's the queen of doing this. Like, she'll be like, Steve's in presentation number 1, go watch him. And then like, I'm just doing the appointment and I look up, I'm like, oh, wow, there's like 8 people in here listening. And then I'll sell it in front of everybody. And then they'll be like, whoa. And I'm like, no, don't do that. I'm like, because I'm not playing basketball. I'm not 6'2", jump out the gym, fly out, the building. We're selling insurance. I'm talking with my words. They can't even see me. I'm like, you just need to know what to say. And I'm like, the difference is I've done 10,000 of these and you've only done like 2. So when you get to where I'm at, you're going to be wowed too. You know what I mean? And so like, that's one of the things that I wanted people to understand. Like, we're selling insurance to people that requested it. Like, this is not God-given talent. This is just some training and work ethic, Marissa. And so like, that's the beauty of it, is just being able to replicate it, teach it, and then be able to lead from the front. And I think that's what you do a phenomenal job of. I see all your posts and I can see it. You're still there working with the team at the lock-ins, doing all that stuff. That's the reason why your team will respect you. And I didn't want to be able to get out of that.
Yeah, I love that. So Stephen, as a new agent coming in, like a new agent comes in right now on your team and they're like, hey, Stephen, what is the recipe for me to go out and not do 5 policies, but me to go out and do 30 policies in a month? What's the recipe for that? What do you tell them?
Well, I always start with schedule, because I think we're all very bad. We're phenomenal employees, but we're horrible self-employed personnel. And what I mean by that is like, I'm just going to pick a name, like Dean. Like, Dean, if you worked at a job and they said you got to be here by 8, guess what? We're there at 7:45, ready to clock in. By 8, we're in, do our job, out by 5, go home, right? But because we're self-employed, now we go, hey, Marissa goes, hey, dial at 8. Y'all walk in the office at 8:22. First call goes out at 8:47. At 9:15, you want a water break. Like, we're not disciplined because we're self-employed now. And so like, one of the things that I like to tell a lot of our agents is I tell them, I'm like, hey, if you treat this like a business, it'll pay you like a business. However, most people have never owned a business. So how do they treat it like one? How do you treat it like something you never had? Right. And so what I tell them is like, treat it like a job until it pays you like a business, because most people have had a job and they understand the rules and the disciplines of having a job. Right. And so what I always tell people is schedule. Put your family and your life in there first. Take a blank calendar, put your family in your life. I go to church twice a week, right? I'm in a place for my business. Now I spend 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every day with my kids, because that's what I'm doing this business for. Now, keep in mind, first 4 years, never had family with my family, dinner with my family. Never, not once. I think I've earned that right now, right? So I'm doing that now. So like, if I'm working with a brand new agent, I'm like, block out your things, block out church, block out family, block out whatever. And then family first life is the stuff that goes around it. You know what I mean? Like, if you take a cup of water, every piece of your life is like an ice cube. Church, parents, family, whatever, right? Hobbies. Family first life is the water that goes around it. You can literally run a schedule around your entire life. Literally. Many people do, right? And so that's the first thing I want to identify. And then we create a schedule. And then what I do is I just hold them to that schedule. It's kind of like Doc Rivers. Like, he was a decent basketball player. He's like one of the most well-respected basketball coaches. And they asked him, they said, hey, how do you coach men that make like 10 times more than you? Which is a really interesting dynamic if you think about it, right? And he says, it's really simple. I asked them about their goals, and then they tell me my goal, because a lot of the NBA guys, their contracts are like, if you make the All-Star team, if you're a first team NBA, you get another bonus. If you make it to the playoffs, another bonus. If you win, it's another bonus, right? A lot of their contracts are bonus heavy. And so what happens is he goes, what are your goals? And then they tell him, and then he just says, do I have permission to hold you accountable to your goals? Not mine, your goals? And they always say yes. I do the same thing. I'm like, what do you want out of this? You want to protect 20, 30, 40 families? Done. But do you know the work that takes to get there? Do you know what the lead flow looks like? Do you need the schedule? Let me show you how to do all those things. And then can I hold you accountable to that? Because what happens is, like, for example, Marissa, like I have this guy in our office, he's a stud. So like his first 2 weeks, he probably protected like 5 or 7 families, but he should be doing a lot more. And we all know he should be, but he's not. So I took him out to lunch and I'm like, dude, how's your first 2 weeks? And he was like, it's cool. You know, I thought I should be doing better. And I'm like, I know, I agree. What do you think it is? He was like, yeah, man, I think it's the learning curve. Like, nah, it's not. I'm like, dude, you walked into the office the other day at 10:30. He was like, yeah. I was like, that was a Monday, a dial day. You walked in at 10:30. He was like, yeah. What time did your first call go out? He was like, 10:42. I'm like, that's the problem. One of my favorite times is from 8 to 10. So you're already missing an entire slot. What time did you wake up that day, bro? He said 9:15. I said, that's the problem. So right then and there, I said, you ever notice that most millionaires and most successful, wealthy people wake up at 5? And he said, yeah. And I'm like, why do you wake up at 9? You're 30, bro. And he said, because I play video games at night. And it goes, playing video games more important than having financial freedom? Because the answer is, if it's yes, then go ahead. I don't care. It's not my life. It's your life, right? And he said, no, it's not. And I was like, cool. So tomorrow morning, I'll text you at 5. He goes, I'll actually send you a selfie of me in the gym at 5. I'm like, done. And so he started doing it for the whole week. Sure enough, guess what? He had his best week. He started texting me. He goes, I woke up at like 9 on a normal basis and I'd be like dead tired. He goes, but in the military, I slept from 12 to 4 only, and they wake us up and make us go to the workout. It's like the most energy I've ever had in my life. He goes, waking up at 5 and going to the gym immediately has given me more energy than I've ever had. And then what happens is, I don't know if you guys understand science, but when you go to the gym, it releases positive chemicals and toxins in your oxytocin, all that good stuff into your body. And now you feel good for the day. It's always a good idea to start that way. And so guess what? He's dialing better, positive attitude on the work schedule, and he's attacking his appointments. And now he's selling more than he's ever had. And so, like, that's the thing. I'm going to ask you for your goals, and then I'm just going to hold you accountable to them. So if someone says, I want to sell 20, 30, 40 a month, and they're brand new, I go, cool. Have you ever done that? No. Okay, let me show you how it looks like. Right? Because like if someone goes, I work, this is one of the things that I do on new agent calls. I go, hey, Bob, what's the most money you've ever made in your life? $4,000. Awesome. How many hours do you work a week to make $4,000? 40 hours a week. Sweet. How much do you want to make here? 20. Okay. How much time do you have to make 20 grand a month? 12 hours a week. I'm like, Bob, dude, I'm Asian. I'm pretty good at math, but that math don't add up. Right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, we got to set some real expectations. Like, you've never done this before. So if you've never made 20 grand a month, you made 4 working 40 hours, like, wouldn't you think at least 40 hours to make 20? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let's set some real expectations, because you've never done this and I have. This is what it's going to be required of you. And then I put the schedule in place, and then we execute that schedule. That's what I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of systems and processes, and then giving them real expectations and then holding them to those expectations.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So Stephen, you're personal producing, which is awesome. And then you have a lot of brand new agents coming in. What is the lead flow, or like the lead budget that you recommend, or types of leads? Because I know you probably have some special ones that we don't have access to.
Yeah. You know, the special ILC that we all have access to, that one. So you know, what's funny is, so Andrew Taylor taught me this when I was brand new. So I remember I had a chance to ride along with him when he was still in the field, and it was mesmerizing, by the way. And so I remember he took me out to dinner, Subway. And he goes, hey man, you're going to need about $1,000 to get started in your business. And I said, I don't have $1,000. I have 700. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, 3 things will happen. And he goes, the first thing is you do nothing with your money, and you will not make any money either. And you'll still have $700 to your name. And at 27, that's kind of like really sad. You know, Andrew's like that way, right? I'm like, damn, all right, cool. Because the second thing is you spend this $700 and you make nothing because you suck. He goes, but at the end of the day, it's only $700. And once again, at 27, if that's all you have, like that kind of sucks. Because you can probably go make that back in like a weekend or two if you really wanted to. And I'm like, true. He goes, the third thing is you spend the $700 and you make $2 to $3 grand. And you take 1,000 and you do it again, you make $4 to $5 grand. And you do it again, you make $4 to $5 grand. And then eventually you spend $2 grand to make 10 grand a week. He's like, that's your goal. And so from that moment on, I literally said, he's right. I'm still living at home with mom. I don't have rent or mortgage. I only have $700 to my name, which is kind of sad. Let me just give it all I got. And so I work with new agents on what they have. But if I had a choice, I would love for them to have 1,000, because the more the merrier. And write this down for those of you that are taking notes. You make up in numbers what you lack in skill. You make up in numbers what you lack in skill. When you're brand new, you suck. Let's call it what it is. They haven't dialed the phone. They don't know what the phone script sounds like. They don't know how to overcome the rebuttals yet, or the objections yet. So they're going to suck. It's okay though. We need to embrace that and let them know it's okay to suck. Right. And so like if a brand new agent only has $250 for leads versus another brand new agent has $1,500 for leads, dude, without even knowing how good or bad the other one is, which one would you guys bet on? The 1,500, because they have more shots, more leads, more at bats. And so like, I try to encourage them that, hey man, I understand that this is all you got, but this is why we need it. And by the way, I was there too. And so here's what I can tell you, Bob, if I never put that $700 in, I wouldn't have what I have right now, because I'd probably be in corporate America, which you're already in, you know? And so like, I'm just trying to talk to them, figure out where they are. And once again, where are you trying to get to? I want to get to 2030. Well, you're not going to get to 2030 with 700. You might get to like 3-4 grand with it though, but we're going to have to put it back in the business. Right. And then I do this thing that Andrew taught me when I was brand new. And I role play this with every agent. We do this on our Leads 101 call. I go, Marissa, let's pretend you and I open up a pizza parlor, right? Well, before we open up the pizza parlor, and to sell pizzas, what do we need? Ingredients. We need the dough, tomato sauce, toppings, beer, chicken wings, soda, water. We need to get all those things. Now we buy all those things and then we sell out. We open grand opening, everybody buys everything we have. We literally have nothing left, but there's $5 grand in the cash register. What we do next with the money in the cash register will determine how successful we are in this business. And I tell people all the time, because what most bad agents do is they take the money from the cash register and they pay their mortgage, student loans, credit card, car payment. When in actuality, what are we supposed to do first? We need to go buy more ingredients, because the ingredients is what made us the money. And in our business, the ingredients are leads. So your lead bill is always the first bill. Always. And so like when we make it elementary and we talk about it being a pizza parlor, we go, yeah, I get that. You can't sell pizzas without ingredients. Right. But you can't sell insurance without leads. There's nothing different. And so I try to get a brand new agent to understand that. And I try to get them to understand kind of like what Jordan Lowry taught us is like, if you do it right, you only got to buy leads one time, because everything else after that is on autopilot, you know?
That's huge. You guys taking notes on this stuff? Because it's all like so good. All right. So Stephen, a lot of times it's easy, because I've done this before and I'm not doing it anymore because I'm an adult now, but it's easy for us to think like, oh my goodness, FFL is so big. So to be able to get where, you know, Stephen is, where Marissa is, where Digna is, where, you know, Nina and Hayden are, that have these big agencies, they had a better shot because they started however many years ago, blah, blah, blah. But I've actually realized and now know that the industry is better today than it ever has been. So what can you tell the people on the call about like where the industry is, what's changed about it since you started? Do you think it was easier to build back then, or is it easier to build an agency now? Why is that?
So let's talk about it. Marissa, how much of your team does virtual sales?
It's probably 50-50.
Okay, cool. So like when I got started like 5-6 years ago, it was all face-to-face. Okay. Let me explain to you how that $700 lead budget started. Okay. So Andrew convinces me to spend my $700. I go, cool. Where do I go to spend my money to buy leads? He goes, you're going to email this lady in Oklahoma. I was like, whoa, okay. You're going to tell her this is all you got. She's going to spend the money. And then your first lead will probably come back in about 3 to 4 weeks. I was like, okay. Because we had to drop mail back then. We couldn't just go in the CRM and buy leads tomorrow. Are you serious? Here's the other thing. We had to carry paper. Because like America, who had one of the best apps, like still, their paper app was 11 pages. And guess what? If you had 10 of the 11 signatures, you weren't getting paid. So like you talk about it being easy back then. No, it was hard. We'd miss signatures and it cost us 2 Gs. Now you couldn't even proceed to the next page without it getting signed. You talk about a text signature. I wish. You talk about underwriting cheat sheet genies and all this other stuff. No, you want to know how we learn how to underwrite? Hey, it's 2 o'clock, 1-800-231-0801. Press 3, speak to agent, and then speak to underwriting and speak to the gal on the other side. Hey, I have a client, 47 years old, that takes this med. Would you take her? Like you talk about it being easy. This is easier now than it's ever been. The difference is that we want to make excuses because if it's easy and we don't make it, then we go, well, it can't be me. I got to blame something else. That's what it is. But here's the other thing though, Marissa, like, let's take a step back, right? And I understand like a lot of us compare because that's just what we do. And I get it. I did it too. And sometimes I still do, but I try not to anymore. Like Desiree, let me ask you this question. I'm a nobody in your life. Like we don't know each other. What I do does not affect your life and what you do does not affect mine. So why do you care what volume I'm at? Because here's the only game that you should be playing, Desiree, you versus you. And the actual game though, I tell people this on our team, it's you versus poverty. I've been broke, I've had money, and I choose to have money than be broke, right? And I say that like as humbly as I can. I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that. I'm not competing with any of you guys on this call, by the way. I'm just making sure that I don't get back to 27-year-old Steve living at home with my mom again. That's what I'm reminded of every morning. I got 2 little kids, a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. I'm not trying to put them through that. So I'm like, respectfully, like Desiree, you sold 50 policies tomorrow. I'd be like, I'm so happy for you because it doesn't take away from me. I just got to make sure poverty doesn't beat me today. And every morning I wake up with the intention that something, like what sucks is when you have something, you have more to lose. The more you have to lose. The higher you are up, the bigger the fall. And so like I wake up every morning going, I hope I don't lose it today. I'm like a healthy paranoid person, right? And I go, I hope I don't lose it today. Well, how am I going to lose it? I'm going to lose it if I don't do crap. But if I work, bust my tail, hop on the calls, do the stuff with the team, do all that stuff, I don't believe I will lose ever. And so that's how I trick my mind to continue to work. Like one of the things I did when I was in the field, I'm horrible with money, by the way. So there's like $3,000 in the account. I just wouldn't run appointments that day. You know, I don't need to run appointments. I got $3,000 in the bank. It's horrible. I know. So what I did was I transferred the money and I hid the accounts. And every morning when I pulled up the bank statement or the account, it said 0. And I would trick myself and be like, you're broke, got to go to work. Although the account is hidden and I can't see it, and there's probably some money in there, I don't want to know how much is in there. I'm broke. I ain't got no money. Got to go work again. And I did that all the way until where I am now, because I wasn't competing with any of you. I was just trying to make sure that whatever happens, I don't go back to that life. And I don't want to, and I don't enjoy it. And I would never wish it upon any of my family members, let alone you guys or even my enemies. You know what I mean? And so like, that was the game. I didn't care about like I didn't care. Like, I don't wake up and go, oh my gosh, there's $12,000 in my bank. Like, I didn't care about a dollar amount. What I enjoyed was what money did for my family. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you guys a quick story. Like my wife and I are going to homeschool our kids, especially my daughter, she's 4. And everybody goes, well, that's kind of crazy. Absolutely. I used to make fun of people that were homeschooled when I was in public school, but I'm not going to allow my daughter to be put in public school where they can choose their gender. No, my daughter's a girl. I understand that, and she should too, and she will. We're not going to go, she can pick. No. And I'm not going to let a stranger that I don't know influence my daughter 8 hours a day. And guess what? Homeschooling costs money because it costs tuition, curriculum, tutors. It costs money, Marissa. So although my heart might be in the right place, if I don't have the money, I can't do it. So I didn't do this for money. I did it to be able to put my kids in a better situation. Some of y'all have kids. Some of y'all might be like me, lived in a bad neighborhood. You know what it takes to get out of a bad neighborhood? Money. Moving into a new zip code that's a better zip code? Money. Y'all drive a car that sucks, not because it's old, but because it's not safe for your family. What does it cost to get a new car? Money. I don't care about money, but I care about what money does for people, right? Like I believe one of the old school personal development guys, they said, money is not important, but it ranks up there with oxygen and food. Because it does. You know what I mean? And so I say that because that's what I did. I didn't compete against anybody else. I just competed against me, and I competed against poverty. I just didn't want to be broke ever again. Poor, broke, whatever word you want to use. Just didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that was huge. And that is true. People are like, money doesn't buy happiness. It's not about happiness. It buys your ability to make the choices. Like you couldn't make choices for your kids if you don't have the ability to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably one of the most powerful things I've ever heard, Stephen, and it's true. It's like we can say all we want. Oh, it's not about money. It's not about money. But just like you said, that's how you get to be able to be different and be able to do things for your family that you didn't think you could do, right? That is the difference. And guys, it can be with anything in your life. If there's a family emergency and you're broke, you can't do anything about it, right? If something happens to your sister, if something happens to your mom, if something happens to your cousin, you can't do anything about it. So it's not this whole idea that money is the most important thing, but you can't really do a lot without it. So let's just be transparent about that. And I think, Stephen, that's awesome what you said too, is I feel you're even an even way older guy than me in the business, but I feel like I'm an old person in the business now, because it's I used to be guys, when people are I can't get these leads or they complain about something, I'm like, guys, I had to wait 4 days for my leads, right? Think about that. I could only get Facebook Final Expense. It took 4 days. Stephen had to wait 4 weeks for his leads. Yeah. Imagine that. So the point is, guys, it just continues to get better. And every year that we're here, I'm dang, I wish, my only regret I have in the business is I wish I don't know, I wish I started sooner, right? Because I'm just it just continues to get better and better and better. And every person that we can bring in, and every time you make a sale, even all the different carriers, right? Stephen, we have so many carriers now that sometimes I'm I don't think we need to get them all because there's too many options.
Absolutely.
I'm we don't need to get all them. We don't need to have all these lead options. We don't need to have all these tools because it's almost too many resources for you to be successful. So it's if you can't do it in this system, and this system is the best that it's ever been, and the industry is in a better place than it's ever been ever, then it's not that's you problem, right? Absolutely. So that's what I was trying to explain. We're always I always feel this grandparent that's I walked to school both hills up or both ways uphill or whatever it is, but it's it is, guys, this opportunity that we have here, and the ability we have to make money for our families is only getting better. It's only getting easier. It's crazy that we're not capitalizing on that. So, Stephen, you've been absolutely phenomenal, motivating, inspiring, but also real and transparent about the business, and some things that you have done. One kind of final thing, and, if there's something that you want to leave us with, that would be awesome, just for advice for anybody on this call to just go out and take what they want to be theirs.
Absolutely. So, when I was 19, one of my mentors taught me this. And he said, if you have a piece of paper, draw 3 lines, equal lines. And he said, the bottom line, okay, is crisis mode. Rock bottom, back against the wall, got to make stuff work. You ain't got a choice. The middle line is what we call comfort mode. And then the top line is what we call success mode. And he taught me early on, he said the same effort it takes to go from crisis to comfort is the same effort it takes to go from comfort to success. He goes, the difference though, at comfort, you have an enemy. And that enemy is complacency, because you have something now. He goes, when your back's against the wall, you ain't got nothing to lose. You give it all you have because you don't have anything else, literally. He goes, well, what happens is we get to this comfort level. So some of y'all sell like 7, 8, 9, 12 families a month, and you're good with that because the bills are paid and you're okay. You got a little money in the bank. Life is better than it was. But the same effort it took you to go from nothing to that is the same effort it takes you to go from that to successful, which is 20, 30, 40. And if I can share anything with you, if you can trick your mind to pretend that you don't have it, it's the best thing you can do. Some of y'all, I'm a big sports guy. I'm a big firm believer that Michael Jordan was the best basketball player ever. He's the greatest of all time, whatever you want to call it. Y'all know that Michael Jordan used to make up stories before he played games. He'd be like, you know what? Marissa didn't shake my hand today. I'm going to give her 40. And like, he'll tell a reporter this. And then the reporter will go to the post-game interview and be like, dang, Marissa, like, what did you do to Steve? She's like, what? Well, he said you didn't shake his hand at the pregame, which is why he gave you 40 tonight. I never even said hi to him. What is it? Jordan used to make up stories. Because how do you stay on when you are the best player in the world? How do you continue to work hard when you got a little money in the bank? See, like Sean says, that's why capitalism works. I'm just trying to beat America in poverty, kind of like what I shared with you. How do you beat normal average American? Really easy. They work 40 hours. I'm going to work 45. That's more than them. I'll work 50, 60, whatever. That's more than them. They want to rest during Valentine's Day, Cinco de Mayo, 4th of July, Halloween. I'm like, dude, those are evening holidays. I'm still going to work in the morning. I'm a grown up. We'll be good. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to beat average American, always stay ahead. See, they always say in sports, it's easy to become number one. It's hard to stay at number one. And see, that's what we're talking about. You guys are right there. Some of you guys are right on the cusp of being a Hall of Fame producer, being able to provide for your family to the point where money will never, ever be an issue. Some of us just live the rat race at a higher level, though. We used to make $4,000 a month being employed for somebody else. Now we make $7,000, $8,000, $11,000 a month at FFL. But guess what? We're just running the rat race. We just got nicer stuff at a higher level. And see, my whole thing is like, I didn't want to just stay there. I wanted to be able to get to 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150 a month. And I just had to continue to lie to myself that I didn't have it. And then one day you pull the bank statement up and you're like, they paid me that much? Oh, wow, cool. And then what happens is it becomes normal. You know what I mean? And so like, I want to share with you guys, like the same effort it took you guys to go from crisis to comfort. You already know how to get through that. You already know how to get through that. Now it's the same effort that takes you from comfort to success. Just, you got to eliminate the complacency, because that's what kills a lot of great folks. They always say, good is the enemy of great. Why have they written books about it? Because that's true. There's a lot of good producers at Family First Life. There's a few great ones though. And y'all can be great. Y'all have it in you. See, like the thing about Family First Life, and I'll leave with this, Marissa, is like, it's like art, right? Everybody thinks like you take a blank canvas and it's like painting, where you take paint and you throw paint on this canvas and you make this beautiful picture. But that's not true. At Family First Life, it's more like sculpture. You take this big block of crap and you take a chisel and you chisel all the crap away. And hidden inside that big block of crap is a beautiful masterpiece that all of you guys have already within you. Y'all don't need to learn anything different. Y'all have the skills, y'all have the training, y'all have the system. Everything you need to succeed is already here. And all you need to do is plug into the system and make sure it works for you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Marissa. Keep it up. You guys are killing it. And if there's anything that I can do to help, you let me know. I'll see you guys at the top.